Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Having these conversations with the young lad goes to show that the children definitely are the future of tomorrow. But let's go straight to what the future says today, the front pages of the papers. And we do have the one and only, the delectable, the highly respected, and you can say the king, Eze, one of the front pages of the newspapers. Welcome.
Happy to
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are somebody's child at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And you're a child of God.
Exactly. And my mom is still there, so.
Wow, that's fantastic. Wow.
Fantastic.
That's good. That's good.
A retired teacher.
Oh.
She's doing well. I went to see her 2 weeks ago.
Beautiful.
And she's good.
The most beautiful thing about being a
May
child
God
is no matter
keep her
how
well
big
for
you
us.
are,
Yes,
you will always be your parents' babies. So happy Children's Day to all of us too.
Thank you. Happy Children's Day.
Let's get into the Daily Independent and look at the stories there. We'll be taking the big story there. PDP orders dead, just empty vessels left behind, Tinubu says, saying that he's optimistic of more defections to ABC.
Is this bragging or
their party
politicking?
didn't force anyone to join them. What are your thoughts about this? Vis-a-vis the ongoing brouhaha with the People's Democratic Party. Look at the sealing of their headquarters, the inability for them to have their NEC meeting, the last-minute emergency meeting at the Bauchi Governor's Lodge. And let's get your thoughts on that. Is the PDP really dead, just like the president says?
Maybe, maybe not. Of course, I think it was last week that Tinubu, when there was this raft of endorsements by all segments of the APC, he said that is the game. So the man is playing the game that he knows how well to play. But it is not yet Uhuru, and he should not be boasting, because like they say, one day, 24 hours is long enough time in politics, and we still have 2 years to go before the 2027. He may seem to be doing a nice job in demolishing the opposition as it is. So perhaps he thinks that he has earned bragging rights. But like I said, I think it is too early in the day to begin to predict what will happen in 2027. And don't also forget that the opposition leaders seem not to be sleeping. Yes, PDP may not recover from the present crisis that it is in. And like I've always said here, I think the only value or the most important value that Anies Onwike brings to the governance table, to Tinubu's table, is his ability to hold PDP down. So, and as long as he is there, empowered, and of course have the cause behind him, PDP may be struggling. So, I don't also see the likes of Atiku and others, if they are still nursing presidential ambition, I don't see them actualizing that.
What do you make
platform.
of the coalition between many of them? Elijah Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, the coalition meeting that was held just
over the weekend
on Sunday.
Well, that is what I said, that the opposition leaders are not also sleeping. They are working. But again, the coalition, from my reading of what is going on, they may not speak with one voice at the end of the day. Of course, you know there are three tendencies there now. There are those who want to align with SDP. There are those who want to align, and those who want to align with SDP are led by the former Kaduna State Governor, Nasiru El-Rufai. There are those who want to align with ADC. And there is also a tendency led by someone like former Governor of Rivers State, Aruna Habib, who believes that a new political platform altogether should be the way to go. They are planning to register a new political party? Will INEC agree to register a new political party? Those things are things that will be ironed out in the months and weeks
to come.
Because
they said in 2 weeks they're going to convene again.
Yeah, so they are planning, and the only problem I see with the opposition is that at the end of the day, I don't see them going with a united front. I see at least two people from the opposition, at least two people from the
But if that
opposition
happens,
running for the presidency.
if that happens, it will work in favor of the ruling APC because the opposition will be fractured.
It may or it may not work. Look, I have also said here many times, if democracy is about the people, if elections, and that is why this the so-called vote or go to jail bill, of course, had to be withdrawn because it didn't make sense at all. You don't compel people to go and vote when the votes, they know that the votes won't count. And I said it. I even wrote it in my column last Tuesday that I would rather go to jail than to go up and queue in 2027 when I know that my vote will not count. When I know that even when the result is announced, that is not the end of the thing. A 7-man panel or a 5-man panel or a 3-man panel of the judiciary, people who did not even cast a ballot, not even a single ballot, will sit down and decide who won election they did not participate in. And even when that hurdle is crossed, then people you voted for, based on their political parties, wake up one morning and tell you that they have decamped to the next party. So it doesn't make sense. What should make sense is that you look at those issues that are making people to show apathy to elections and correct that, rather than sitting in the hallowed chamber to decree that if you don't vote, you go to jail. What happened, for crying out loud, to the freedom of association? It behoves me, for instance, if there are 3 candidates and I don't feel that any of them can do the job adequately, I reserve the right not to go and vote for any of them. That people are running for election does not mean that I must choose
The same candidate.
It doesn't make sense. So let's go back to the issue. When the question that you asked, whether 2 or 3 members of the opposition running against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, if that is not going to work in favor of the president. I said it may or it may not work. But the contention, my take generally is that if this were to be a democracy so-called, where the votes of the people will count. Look, there's so much poverty in the land. There's so much hunger. There's so much insecurity. Everything. And I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility. All the indices of human development, they have gone south. They're not going north. Yesterday there was a bomb blast in Abuja. 41 people were killed in Benue State. A reverend father was killed. What kind of country is this? Now, because election is like a referendum on the party in power and on the man in government, as it were. Is there any Nigerian, except those that are taking free money from government, is there any Nigerian that can say, in all honesty, that he's better off today than he was 2 years ago when Tinubu came to power? What was the exchange rate on May 29, 2023? And what's the exchange rate today? What is the cost of petrol, electricity tariff, inflation, and all that? How much were you paying for your children's school fees 2 years ago? And how much are you paying today? How much were you using to buy a Tokumbo car? And how much
11 million now.
Can you even afford to buy it now? So on what basis will anybody go out there in 2027 and say, unless things change dramatically between now
That's what they said. They said in 2 years that things would Nigerians start benefiting.
It won't improve. Joe, even at the risk of being labeled
A prophet of doom.
a prophet of doom, a pessimist, there must be things being put in place that will convince you that, look, these are the
It's the trajectory. Yeah.
steps we are taking. And if you add 1 and 1, it will give you 2, because this is where we are going to. There is none. There is none. You can't be doing the same old things over and over again and expect that all of a sudden. Tell me what new thing they are doing or they are planning to do between now and 2027 that will change the way things are today for the better. So, I don't know. But as a Nigerian, I can only hope that they do it right. Because, look, if this country is better governed, all of us will be better for it. Nobody is praying for a country in chaos. Nobody is praying for a country where people are so... they have been so dehumanized that you ask yourself, people don't go to hospitals again because they can't afford.
Oh, damn.
If you have ailments like diabetes or you have high blood pressure
Or asthma.
people can't afford those drugs. And that's why people are dropping dead as if they are overripe pawpaw. So, unless you tell me what new thing this government plans to do in the next 2 years, and look, Nabanga, let me finish this point. It's a very funny thing. In other places, when you get into power, you walk, you put your best foot forward, so that what you do will be the scorecard you present to the people and say, this is what I have done. Give me another chance so that I can consolidate on what I have done. But here, the reverse is the case. You came into government and you started politicking. You started politicking, which is akin to putting the horse, the cart before the horse. Now, 2 years down the road, you say you want to start working. When you should have worked and going into election mode. And don't forget, in fact, ordinarily, the last year or even 2 years to the election period is devoted more to politics, politicking. Governance is
Gone.
Takes the back seat, yeah.
abandoned. So that is why the first 2 years you ought to devote your attention to governance, so that whatever you have achieved, you can use it as a scorecard and say, look, my people, this is what we have done. Now, you didn't do that, and the 2 years that will now be devoted to politics, you are telling me that's when you're going to do governance. We are here. Let's see how it goes. But
In the little time we have left, let's take a look at the leadership newspapers. There's so many stories here we would like to talk about. Tinubu orders leaders to mark ECOWAS 50th anniversary. If you're going to the island today. Please travel advisory around Eko Hotel and the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Take note.
And he's also going to commission the 30-kilometer of the Lagos.
This happening today and tomorrow.
Today. And then 2027, no automatic ticket for you, Labour Party tells Obi. And I'm sure the obedience will be like, what was Labour Party before Peter Obi joined?
Well, Abure said he has accepted him.
Another question is, which faction of the Labour Party exactly? Is it a Papa faction or Abure faction or the Nedi Usman faction? Nigeria targets $7 million daily revenue from fertilizer exports. I mean, if this is possible, then it's very good for our forex earnings, and we're moving away from oil, our dependency on oil. Suspected suicide bomber killed in Abuja explosion. Multiple reports, multiple stories, and also Speaker Abbas withdraws compulsory voting bill. Yes. So where do we start from? Which one?
We don't have a lot of time. Yes. I think we have just like 2 minutes to choose one story, or 3 minutes.
3 minutes,
well, that's the suspected suicide bomber in Abuja yesterday. Of course, and thank God, he was the only person that died. I think there were two injuries. But that what that portends is the fact that, look, insecurity, we are not yet done with it. It is still a big problem. And the resurgence of Boko Haram, the way they have been attacking military targets, and for them to now come very close to Abacha barracks in Abuja, a suicide bomber. It is scary, and I would think that the government has a lot of work on its hands. It does not do anybody any good when the National Security Advisor, Rebadu, gaslights everybody by saying they have almost conquered insecurity. It is not true. It's not true. And we have to look, the way people are killed in this country, a country that is not at war. You wake up in the morning and you hear that a village was attacked, 41 people slaughtered in cold blood, and we move on. That happened yesterday. Today, the president is here, we're celebrating ECOWAS, we are throwing party. Fellow Nigerians are going to go into another round of mass burial of their loved ones. It doesn't all go well. We have not done enough to stem this tide of terrorists. And you know, when we sugarcoat all these things, bandits, headers,
insurgency.
This is terrorism. Simplicity. There is no other way to define what is going on in the Benue, Plateau, Taraba axis. There is even no other way to describe what is going on. Yesterday, the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, was also vowing that no local government in Borno will be
under
ISWAP or Boko Haram. But all those things, the truth of the matter is that Borno State is almost fighting a war, literally, every day. Nigeria, I think, and that is also why when people continue talking about 2027, when people continue talking about this is the game, what is the game?
Well, we will come and find out what this game is when we return to the show tomorrow, but we have to head out of the studio. Thank you, Mr. Amaechi, for joining us.